we create our own experience of the burden and overwhelm that we carry in our lives, whether it's just the day-to-day of life or it is around Christmas and the holidays. We have to understand that as women, we create that overwhelm. Hello, I'm Karen Seitz, and this is the Happy Wife School. This podcast is for married women to realize that we are responsible for our happiness, that no one and no thing can make us happy, and that our husbands are not the source of our unhappiness. In each episode, I red pill married women to know that we are the problem in our marriages to good men. For the good men, this podcast will wake you up to the realities of your wife's woman ways, to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to her emasculation in a constructive, caring way. Before we dive into today's episode, a couple reminders. My message is meant for common and usual marital issues. My podcast is not intended for abusive, violent, or compulsive behaviors in a marriage that are threatening or dangerous. Also, please take a second to visit my website and learn more about my courses, which offer solutions for married women and good men. You can find the link in the description below. With all that being said, let's get started. So where we're going to go today is first, I want to share an article with you I found to kind of set up what I want to talk about and how as women, this is the time of year that we really can lose our marbles, and our woman ways are supersized during the holidays. So I want to talk a little bit about that. I've been teaching about the holidays for many years now to both men and women, because this is a time of year that we can all struggle. But I do want to talk about the overwhelm that we put ourselves into as women during the holidays, and nobody likes a martyr. And as women, we very much struggle all the time with being martyrs. And I'm going to talk about what I mean by that. And then it goes into overdrive during the holidays. So I want to talk a little bit about that and the difference between men and women around the holidays. And then I want to get a little bit into the why we have so much holiday stress. And I'm going to talk about obligation and expectations. Then we're going to look at how to let go of holiday stress and some tips that I have learned over the years that have really changed my experience and the experience for my husband over the holidays. And so I want to get into that. And then where the last place I'm going to go is what I want men to know about the holidays and the struggles that you might have with your wife during the holidays, or potentially even your mother during the holidays, and help give you some perspective so that you can manage your holiday stress as well. So getting into the first place. So like I said, I've been teaching about the holidays and how to really navigate our human experience, our woman experience through the holidays for many years now as a teacher and working with clients and students and what I teach. And this is probably one of the hardest times of years for me in terms of the students and clients that I work with, primarily the women that I work with. This is the time of year, like I said, where we really lose our marbles and we go into like an extreme overwhelm. And I get lots of calls from students I currently work with, but even students I've worked with in the past, needing help around the holidays because we get so shaken up. And without fail, even my students who do really well have really changed and made leaps and bounds of strides towards being in control of their emotional state, learning to let go of their woman ways. Even they get really shaken up, and that's a really hard time of year. So I get prepared for that. And also, as I've shared before many times, I'm a woman, I'm human, I'm not perfect, I'm not a machine. And this is a time of year that I have to be on top of myself to watch where I can go into this like super holiday mode and really lose myself and get very overwhelmed and way overcommitted, and really not slow down to think things through and really simplify to get to the true meaning of the holidays and let it be what I believe it's really meant to be. So I knew I wanted to talk about this. It's an area I've said I could teach like a whole course on the holidays. And in preparing for this, I found an article. And I gave it a big giant eye roll when I found this article. The title of it is Women Carry Unequal Holiday Burden Year Round. And I'm just going to read a little bit of the article. I'll post a link to it later. But like I said, yeah, I was like, are you kidding me? So I'm going to read a little bit of it. It says, behind all these celebrations, behind all these holiday celebrations, are often some very tired women. According to another article or research, among married heterosexual couples who both work full time and have a child under age 18, mothers spend nearly double as much time as fathers on housework, food preparation, cleanup, purchasing goods and services, and doing the primary forms of work involved in hosting people or exchanging gifts around the holidays. Women carry this unequal burden year round, of course, but things really come to a head for us around the holidays when we're often the ones to schedule the holiday celebrations, plan childcare for when schools shutter for the holidays, not to mention make gift lists, think of gift ideas, order and wrap them, and then deal with customer service when they arrive broken. All of this on top of the emotional labor we're already doing on a daily basis, keeping track of birthdays and school pictures and filling out forms to sign our kids up for extracurricular activities, scheduling babysitters, managing the family calendar. And it leaves us utterly exhausted. It takes a great deal of time and energy to perform this type of labor, and it is never fully shut off in our brains. And it costs women dearly, using up untold reservoirs of mental capacity that we could be using in ways that serve us, our careers, our lives, and our happiness. Oh my goodness. So, so that's the article I found. My mentor and I and my team here had a good laugh over that, because here is the truth. Here is the truth that as women, we have to begin to understand is that we create our own experience of the burden and overwhelm that we carry in our lives, whether it's just the day to day of life or it is around Christmas and the holidays. We have to understand that as women, we create that overwhelm. We are the ones that put ourselves on the bottom of our list, and we put everyone else before us. And we put ourselves on the bottom of the list. And very sadly, we put our husbands underneath that. But we will then go put strangers and our kids teachers and their friends and our family, and run on empty year round and never slow down to think through what we need for ourselves to fill our own cups so that we have a full reserve to have plenty of energy for the responsibilities and roles that we have in our lives that we made the decision to take on. As women, we make ourselves martyrs, meaning we fill our list of things to do, our calendars, with 1,001 things to do. We way overcommit ourselves. We never learn to say no because we are obsessed with the idea of everyone liking us, that we never learn how to say no. We never learn to prioritize ourselves, our husband, our families. And the truth is that in us, we actually want to live from this place. We want to be the martyr. We want to have all of this on our plates and complicate things like the holidays to feel sorry for ourselves, to get attention, and ultimately to have a giant distraction from our lives, our responsibilities, and from ourselves. And during the holidays, it goes into super drive. And what happens is we make ourselves victims. The foundation of being a martyr, doing everything for everyone, look at everything I have to do. That's our experience of women as martyrs. When is someone going to take care of me? When is somebody going to consider my needs? That's how we think. The foundation of that martyrdom that we put ourselves in as women is being a victim. And I do not mean something actually being done to us. I mean victim mentality, that something or someone is being done to me that has taken away something I deserve or I'm entitled to. And now my life is of hardship and struggle. That's what it is to be a victim. And the foundation of victim is blaming, pointing the finger out, and never taking responsibility for our own choices, for our own decisions that we have made, and then rising to the occasion to do our best in those responsibilities and roles that we have taken on in our lives. And the holidays are no different. So, getting into the why around the holidays do we as women lose our marbles and go into overdrive with our woman ways? And I'm sure the married men here listening could share stories of what the holidays are like with their wives and everything she takes on that makes it really stressful for herself and really stressful for everyone else. So I want to get into the why. Why do we have so much holiday stress? And I'm primarily talking to women in this, but of course, this can apply to us really as a culture around the holidays. But I really want to focus on our female experience because we really take it to an extreme. And what I have learned and know in myself and in working with women through the holidays, like I said, for many years now, is that the holidays have become a time of expectations, obligations, and shoulds. We have come further and further and further away from the true meaning of the holidays and taking this as a time to really to slow down, to reflect, to spend time, quality time with loved ones, and to be grateful for our lives and grateful for the tremendous gift we have to be in this life. And it has gotten so far away from that because as a culture, we're trying to make the holidays supersized and into something that needs to be special and meaningful and over the top instead of allowing it to be special just in what it is meant at its core level. So we get caught up in these expectations and obligations and what I call shoulds, doing what we think we're supposed to do or doing what we think we have to do without ever slowing down and considering what do we actually want? What do we actually like? And slowing down to make choices around what we are doing. We fall into, well, this is what's expected of me. So we just do it and we never take responsibility for our choices. So then it feels like it's being done to us and that there's nothing we can do about it. So the truth is, we as women do not slow down to know what we are headed into with the holidays. Most of us power through, get really sped up. One of my clients many years ago, she shared the expression, and it's always stuck with me, that she has a holiday me, where she goes into super holiday mode and tries to be something more than who she is, and that she's got to be real extra during the holidays. And we put that pressure on ourselves. So we don't really slow down headed in the holidays to know how we feel, what we actually want to do, what we like, what we don't like around the holidays. And so we bog ourselves down in these expectations and obligations. And then as married women, we get very stressed, very overwhelmed. We're sped up, running around like crazy people. And our husbands get the worst aspects of us. And what happens is we don't recognize that we're creating this for ourselves. So we go into that place of being a martyr. We go into that place of being a victim. And like always, we blame our husbands and how, like the article said, how we think they're not there to support us and to help us and share the burden. When the truth is, how we act in our crazy making around the holidays is that we make it incredibly stressful for our husbands. We push them away with our very low emotional intelligence during the holidays. And we're no fun to be around. We suck all the fun out of the holidays. So I want to go over now. What do I have here? 7 expectations that as women we put on ourselves and then we put on others around us during the holidays. And this is going to lead to some meaningful conversation about the reality of the holidays, that for most people, this is a challenging time of year. It shakes a lot of people up. It pushes us into what I call a forced reflection, that we're often faced with different losses we've had in our lives around the holidays, people that we love that are no longer here and with us. It pushes us into reflecting on where we're not in our lives that we thought we would be by now. It stirs up a lot of past family hurt around the holidays. So it's a challenging time. And these expectations make it so much harder than it already is for a lot of people. So 7 expectations that we have around the holidays that create this holiday stress and holiday overwhelm. Number 1, that we're supposed to be happy and joyful. That's the first expectation. We're supposed to be happy and joyful, and that everyone else, we put the expectations on everyone else that they're supposed to be happy and joyful this time of year. And the truth is, if we slow down, we can maybe see what we're actually feeling and be true to where we're at and not need to put on a forced facade of being happy and joyful. I have found in many years of working with hundreds of women that even though we put on this holiday self and this holiday facade and go into super holiday mode because of what we've made it, because we've made it so overwhelming, many of us don't enjoy the holidays. That is not something we look forward to, that we want to speed through, race through, get them over with so we can take a breath and slow down. And that's how we really feel underneath it. And then we have to wear this facade of being happy and joyful that is exhausting. And I'm going to get to the solution here after this of how you can actually be just happy in yourself through the holidays and all year round, but we'll get there. So the second expectation that we go into with the holidays and supersizing the holidays and getting very stressed is that everyone has to have fun and have a good time. Everyone has to have fun and have a good time and be in a good mood and like everything that's happening. And this is where this fantasy of the holidays comes in, that if you spend time around the holidays with your family, an extended family, and big gatherings, the truth is that there's a lot of history there, a lot of history of hurt feelings, of different dynamics between different people. And the truth is, it's very rare that families actually get along. A lot of families put on the face of getting along, but underneath that, again, there's a lot of hurt. There's a lot of dynamics. There's a lot of expectation, and a lot of families don't get along. That's the reality of family. And yet we think that for this holiday season, whether, it's Christmas or Hanukkah and whatever you celebrate and get together and gather with people, that we're supposed to just put everything aside and that everybody's going to have a great time and have fun, when oftentimes that's not the case, right? Even when that's the intention and well intended for it to be that, it's often not the case. There can be some pretty hefty family fights and arguments during the holidays. If you watch any holiday movie, we see that. So the third expectation that we have around the holidays that sets us up for a lot more stress and overwhelm than is necessary is that everyone is supposed to get along. Number 3, everyone is supposed to get along. So this ties into the last one. The reality is that no, not everyone gets along in our families. And the more that we can actually accept that reality and stop putting the expectation on it that, hopefully dad doesn't make this joke this year, or hopefully mom and dad don't get into this argument this year, or I hope my sister or my brother doesn't do what they always do. And we put these expectations that the people in our family aren't supposed to be who they are on Christmas or around the holidays. And the truth is, they're not ever changing. That's who they are. And when we can accept that reality, that's where we take the pressure and the overwhelm off to know, okay, mom and dad are likely going to get into this fight, or likely my brother and I are going to butt heads about this one thing. We always do. And when we can accept that, that's where we can start to eliminate some of our emotional turmoil around the holidays. So there's something I learned a while ago from my mentor that has always stuck with me, that if you imagine this hand is our reality, just the reality of the way things are, and this hand is our expectations. The further away these two things are from each other, the greater our emotional turmoil and our emotional pain. So if the reality is your family doesn't get along and the expectation is everyone needs to get along this year, those two things are far apart, the greater emotional pain and emotional turmoil you are going to be in. But when you can close that gap and be grounded in reality to know, oh no, I don't get along with my brother. I don't get along with my dad. So how can I manage myself to make it the best it can be? The more grounded you are in that reality, the less stress, the less emotional turmoil, because you can deal with things for what they actually are versus hoping and praying that they're somehow going to be different when they haven't been different in 15, 25, 30 years. So that's the third expectation. Everyone is supposed to get along. Number 4, this is the big one. This is why we turn into the holiday monster as women. More is better. That's the fourth expectation. More is better. More time with people. Have the family come for 2 weeks. More time, more food, more booze, more presents, more decorations, more people, more parties, more celebrations. And we need all the things. More is not better. We're going to talk about part of the solution is simplifying. I know myself, it's like, well, I've got to make the cookies my mom used to make, and then I've got to make the cake that my grandma used to make, and I've got to make sure that I have this too. And we make it so big, and that's where we stress ourselves out because we don't need all those things. The fifth expectation that we have that creates all this overwhelm, recreating childhood experiences. We put this stress and pressure on ourselves around the holidays that we need to recreate our childhood experiences. That's number 5. And that they should be and feel exactly like they did when we were young. We do that because we're trying to fill an emptiness within ourselves. That's part of why the holidays are so hard, is that it exposes the emptiness that we have in ourselves that we haven't learned to fill just in who we are. So we grab for external experiences, like recreating holiday traditions we had when we were young and feeling like we need to do every single one of them because we're trying to fill that void and emptiness that gets really exposed during the holidays. And then more presents and more celebrations and more, because we're trying to fill that emptiness within ourselves. The sixth expectation that we have, that we feel obligated or that we should do around the holidays that creates our stress and overwhelm, is that we need to be everyone's favorite. Favorite daughter-in-law, favorite daughter, favorite sister, favorite mom, favorite friend, favorite mom on the PTA. And that pushes us into overdrive doing all these things to try to get people to like us. And we put this pressure on ourselves that we need to be perfect, and that the dinner needs to be perfect, and the gathering needs to be perfect, and the kids need to be perfect, and everybody needs to be on their best behavior. That we have to have it all together around the holidays, when the truth is many times we do not. And then the seventh expectation that kind of fits into number 6 is that we have to be on. We have to be on our game. That we need the right outfit, the right attitude, say the right things. And then as women, we put this expectation onto our husbands, onto our kids. And it's like, don't say that thing you always say around my family. And good men are used to getting the evil eye or the kick under the table when they act out of line, out of the perception and facade that their wives want to project to their families. And that the kids are supposed to behave and be on their best behavior and not act out and don't let anyone see the issues and the problems that we have behind closed doors. We need to be on and be on our game. So those are the 7 expectations that I find most common that I have had in myself and have worked with women over, like I said, over almost the last decade. So why men get stressed around all this is because men and women are different. I mean, it's no surprise. I've said that before, but we're different. We view the holidays differently, generally speaking. As women, we need to make it over the top and special and make it the perfect experience. Whereas in general, men just want to keep it simple. Let's not have too many people. Let's not have people come stay for 2 weeks. Let us not go stay somewhere for 2 weeks. Let's not plan a big vacation right after Christmas. Let's just keep it simple and what it's really about. Quality time together as a family, being grateful, celebrating and honoring our faith. And women just want it to be simple. I'm going to share a little bit really quick. It's almost my husband and I almost feel like we were like naughty over Thanksgiving because we tend to spend Thanksgiving, just my husband and I, we keep it pretty quiet. And both of us had a big month, just, some challenges up. Just we're both working hard. And we both looked at each other. My husband did first. He said, "Hey," he said, "I'm not really in the mood to do anything on Thanksgiving. Like, I don't really feel like cooking. We usually cook and make our favorite things. He said, I don't really feel like cooking. I really just want a chill day." And I let it ask, like, me too. And so we ordered Chinese food the Wednesday night before Thanksgiving and ordered enough so that we could just have leftovers on Thanksgiving. And we watched a couple movies. My husband played a video game he liked. I took a couple naps and it was wonderful. And he was so happy because I wasn't in my, well, we got to make sure we make the pecan pie and the pumpkin pie. And here it is. It's just the 2 of us. So, anyways, I digress. I wanted to share that story, but that's a good example of that good men just generally, they just want to keep it simple. I know that that's different than one of our favorite holiday movies here in America, Christmas Vacation, where Clark Griswold, he goes all out. But I'm going to argue to say that Clark Griswold went all out for Christmas Vacation because he was trying to make his wife happy and doing what she thought it needed to be, even though she told him, "No, that's not what I want." I think he just wanted to try to make his wife and his family happy. That's my story, and I'm sticking to it. So, like I said, we're different, and as women, we want to make it over the top and just pretty crazy. So, the next part, now that we know the why we get so stressed around the holidays, is we try to make it so big and we have all these expectations, and we have to realize we're creating that. We're creating that. And then as women, we take it out on our husbands. So you're probably, women get pissed that their husbands might drink more during the holidays. They might be, less present, disengaged, going and doing stuff, trying to avoid the family. And I have taught women over the years and had to see for myself, no, that's because we push them away with all of our overwhelm and our stress. And there's nothing that they can do that is right. They try to help out. We won't let them. And they throw their hands up. So that's understandable. So now I want to get into, okay, so how do we let go of the holiday stress? And some tips that have really helped me over the years. Number one, I'm going to go through 5 tips. Number one is to normalize if you are stressed about the holidays, you're worried about getting together with family, you're worried about the family dynamics, you don't like all that the holidays have become and getting all the presents and going to all the celebrations and everything that comes along with it, that's normal. And to normalize how your family is or isn't, or how they get along or don't get along, and to normalize around the holidays that everybody in general has a challenging time and you're not alone, and that this is how everybody feels. Everybody has a challenging time around the holidays, generally speaking. And when we normalize it, we take it away from the nobody gets me and making it all about us and making it a really, really big deal. And when we normalize, we can bring it back down and look at it practically instead of emotionally and get through it a lot better. Number two, we have to be conscious that we are creating our experience. It's not happening to us. It's not your family. It's not your brother. It's not your kids. It's not your husband that's making you feel overwhelmed and worn out and exhausted and drained. You have to recognize that you are creating the environment for the overwhelm and the stress. And when you can recognize that the holidays are often an emotional, challenging time, then you can be aware of that. And then this leads to the third part of the solution I wanted to talk about. We can simplify. If you're conscious that you're creating the environment for it to be stressful, to be overwhelming, to be over the top, then you can start to make choices to simplify. Because I promise you, for the women listening, your husband just wants it to be simple. He just, let's just make it simple. So I have learned to look at what's the one thing I really enjoy around the holidays, and putting myself into that is simplifying that you don't need to go to every holiday party or every holiday celebration. It's picking and choosing based on what's important to some of the people in your life, what's important to you, and really slowing way, way down. I like to tell women, back way off. Like if you're hosting, back way off. Nobody cares about the centerpiece. Nobody cares if you have all the right drinks. Nobody cares if you have 3 different types of stuffing. Nobody cares if you have 4 or 5 different desserts. Most just want it to be easy, simple, as stress-free as possible. You are the only one that cares. You are the only one that cares about all those small little fine details or having all the things. No one else cares. So back way off and simplify. Let's see, what are we on? The fourth part of the solution is to recognize that you have choices. You have choices in what you do around the holidays, even if it feels sometimes like you don't, because your family expects you to be there or because they expect to come visit you. You have to recognize you have a choice. And even if you make the choice to go travel and see family or have them come to you because you don't want to upset them, you don't want to hurt their feelings, you have to take responsibility that that is what you are choosing so that you can rise to the occasion and do your best in it and take responsibility for your choices, and that it is a choice. And even when we don't make a choice, you know, your mother tells you this is what we're doing and you need to be here at this time, and you don't say anything, you don't think it through, and you just go along. That's a choice. Not making a choice is a choice. So I think this fits into this part of the solution, is that there's a phrase I really like during the holidays. And that phrase is when somebody asks you, hey, we want you and your family to come to this party, or can you make it for this, or can you make it for that? There's a really good phrase you want to keep in your back pocket. And that is, that sounds great, but let me think about it and check a couple things and I'll get back to you. Because typically as women, we are the queens. If somebody asks us to do something and before we've even let it enter into our thoughts, yeah, absolutely, we'll be there. And then a day later, maybe even an hour later, we're going, oh, what did I just do? What did I just agree to? So if you can practice saying, that sounds great, let me think about it, check a couple things, and I'll get back to you. You will probably cut your obligations in half around the holidays. And then that's a great thing to use all the time. And then the fifth part of the solution is to slow down and plan for the challenges. Good men are naturally good at slowing down and thinking through what's ahead and kind of planning through how to respond or how they want to handle something. As women, we're really good at just powering through. But if you can teach yourself to slow down and think through, so say you and your family are going to spend Christmas with your in laws or your family, slow down ahead of time to think through, what are you worried about happening? What are the concerns and challenges that most frequently come up? And what do you want to do? How do you support yourself when that happens? And you will be able to diffuse the stress and the worry that you live in by just thinking it through and having a plan. So, those are my 5 tips. Normalize your experience. You're not the only one having a tough time. Normalize your family, normalize what the holidays are like so you can make it less overwhelming and just deal with the reality of it. Number 2, be conscious that you're creating your experience of overwhelm and stress. Number 3, simplify, back way off. Number 4, to recognize you do have choices, even when it doesn't feel like a choice, and to slow down and take responsibility for what you are choosing. And number 5, slow down and plan for the challenges. So the last part I want to talk about is to the men, what I want men to know. Per usual, you didn't get the wrong wife. If you have the type of woman that I'm talking about today and she gets really supersized in her woman ways around the holidays, you need to know you didn't get the wrong wife. You got a woman. In almost 10 years of working with women around the holidays, I can assure you this is just what we do. We make things really big. We get really overwhelmed. We put way too much on our plate. And so it's accepting that, again, accepting the reality and being grounded in the reality, and to recognize that there's nothing you can do. You did not cause and do not cause your wife's holiday stress. You do not cause her overwhelm. So you can't take it on as that it's your problem and that you need to fix it. You can't. This is her problem to fix. You are not the source of her being stressed, and you cannot take her stress away from her, no matter what she says. No matter what she says, if you could just do this, if you could just do that, then I wouldn't be so stressed and overwhelmed. No, she's creating it. So you have to know that. And the inside secret is, even though your wife might act like she loves the holidays and it's the most wonderful time of year, secretly, she resents the holidays and she hates it. Not for the spirit of what it's truly supposed to be, but for what we make it and all those expectations and obligations we put on ourselves. So I recommend to good men, this is a good time from a different perspective than what I teach women. This is a good time for you to just zip it and don't make the comments of, well, if you just didn't agree to this and commit to this, it wouldn't be this stressful. You're setting yourself up for scorn and emasculation that's unnecessary. And so it's a good time to just let her do her thing and just you focus on yourself and do the things you enjoy. Make time for the things you enjoy. Maybe that's going to the gym more, doing the things that recharge you so you have the emotional tenacity to weather the storm of the holidays and the stress of your wife and potentially your mother, and do the best you can for yourself to recharge. Thank you so much for taking the time to listen today. If you haven't, go check me out on YouTube, Rumble, and X. You can find the links in the description below to connect with me there. For those women listening who know you are the problem and want a path forward to take responsibility and change your own inner turmoil and unhappiness, I have a course for women called the Happiness Program, which is the solution to the unhealthy relationship you have with yourself and the issues and challenges you have in your life and your marriage. You can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. And for the good men listening who want a solution to take back the power you've unknowingly given away to your wife, I have a course for you too called the Marriage Rescue Course for Good Men Only. that teaches you how to rebuild your strength and confidence as a good man so that you can navigate the relationship with your wife in a healthy, constructive way. Again, you can find the link in the description below to apply for a free consultation with me. Thank you again so much for listening, and I look forward to talking with you soon.